Hello, God bless you. Welcome to Read the Tarot, coming to you live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. It is July 13th, 2022. It's about 3:35 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States of America. And I'm going to jump right in and pull a card from the Goddess Oracle. I'm just going to put this little picture up here. And I hope everybody's having a great day. And this, excuse me, this is the card of the day stream. It isn't a stream where I take donations for personal readings. This is for the collective, and it will include a free 4-card tarot spread at the end. Hello, Ruby. Excuse me. Hello, Erica. Oh, Ruby, I was just saying this is a card of the day stream, and I don't do personal readings on this channel. Oh, wait 1 second, please. I'm losing my voice here. Okay, just 1 second. Oh, and you're watching from work. Hello, Erica. Okay, and let's see what message we have from the Goddess Oracle. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have from the goddesses today? What message do you have for us from the goddesses? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for us from the goddesses? What message do you have from the goddesses? Thank you, Spirit. And we have Epona, Wise Leadership. It's so funny because this was the card that I drew yesterday for the picture for the stream. Epona. And I'm going to be doing some research on Epona as well. And just a second while I find a good resource. We'll check out Goddess Guide. Okay, I found one. And here is the description of Epona from the book. The Oracle message, it is an empowerment message. Stepping into the world with a sense of surety and positive self-worth is what's called for now. Epona, the Celtic Roman horse goddess of leadership and guidance, offers you her wisdom. Know that you have what it takes to heed it. You can do anything you place your attention on, and you'll find it easy to accomplish what's needed for your intentions to take form. Whether you're aware of this or not, the way you manage your accomplishments and even the way you handle failures and losses is modeling the way forward for others. There is a wisdom growing within you. Being true to who you are and placing integrity and humility equal to enthusiasm makes you a wise leader indeed, one that the goddess Epona is so proud of. Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry, Tanya. Okay, let me start over. Stepping into the world with a sense of surety and positive self worth is what's called for now. Epona, the Celtic Roman horse goddess of leadership and guidance, offers you her wisdom. Know that you have what it takes to heed it. You can do anything you place your attention on, and you'll find it easy to accomplish what's needed for your intentions to take form. Whether you are aware of this or not, the way you manage your accomplishments and even the way you handle failures and losses is modeling the way forward for others. There is a wisdom growing within you. Being true to who you are and placing integrity and humility equal to enthusiasm makes you a wise leader indeed, one that the goddess Epona is so proud of. Oh, sorry, Erica. I think it's worked out now. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen so we can learn a little bit more about Epona. And this is Epona, the Celtic goddess of horses. Let me make sure you can see and hear it. Okay, there we go. Oh wait. Man, this person has been spamming this one spammed my fractal flower stream and now they're spamming this one. Let me delete them. Sorry. They're horrible on Facebook, these spammers. It's unbelievable. Okay, so let's see. Epona, the Celtic goddess of horses. Beautiful picture. It was set up for you, Sacred Mother. It was set out for you, Atanta. The sacrificial animal was purchased for you. horse goddess Eponina. So that it may satisfy, horse goddess Posha, we pay you a tanta so that you are satisfied. We dedicate it to you by this sacrificial animal, swift Epona, with a filly, goddess Eposha. For a propitious lustration they bind you, Katona of battle, with a filly, for the cleansing of riding horses which they cleanse for you, Debonia. This swift mare, this cauldron, this smithwork, beside fat and this cauldron. This dedication was found in 1887 at Rome on a thin lead plate in Latin, script dated to around the 1st century BCE. Dr. Garrett Olmsted, who has made the most recent translation of this inscription, comments that the closest example to the Roman inscription is a Vedic hymn to Indra. Epona is also known as the Great Mare. She is, first and foremost, a goddess of horses associated with the Gauls. In spite of her popularity, there seems to be little information readily available about her. Unfortunately, any legends Gaulish Celts may have had have been lost to us. The legends and myths of the British Celts were written down by early Christian monks. However, the Gauls and others did leave a rich legacy of inscriptions and monuments, and it is from this the most of the evidence for Epona comes. However, there is one tale of Epona's origins that have survived. A late Greek writer, Agesilaus, wrote that Epona was born of a mare and a man, Philonius Delos. He chose to spurn womankind and instead mate with a mare. The mare gave birth to a beautiful and lively daughter whom she named Epona, and who became the goddess of horses. The giving of a name in most Celtic legends is of vital importance in that individual's future. The naming of Epona by her mother implies that the mare may have had a divine nature herself, and that Epona followed on in some way from an earlier horse goddess. Small images of Epona have been found in stables and barns all over Europe. A niche would be cut in the walls, and a little statue of the goddess would be found, often garlanded with roses and sometimes with a mare's head. The German legions made plaques depicting her in human form with a foal or feeding foals. In imagery, Epona is normally portrayed as a woman either sitting on or surrounded by horses. She may have been another form of the great mother goddess, as in some cases she is also often portrayed with a cornucopia, a symbol of the land and fertility. She has also been portrayed as carrying keys, which may indicate a role in the underworld, and accompanied with birds, often symbols of a happy otherworld. The Uffington White Horse may be one of the largest remaining monuments to Epona in the British Isles, although it is not known for sure that it was carved by those who worshipped Epona. Epona is known to be one of a very few Gaulish deities whose names were spread to the rest of the Roman Empire. This seems to have happened because Roman cavalry units stationed in Gaul followed her and adopted her as their patroness. This may have started because many of the cavalry troops were conscripted from Gaul, as they were superb horsemen. From Gaul, the Romans took Epona with them, including to Rome, where she was given her own feast day on December 18th. They worshipped her as Epona Augusta or Epona Regina and invoked her on behalf of the emperor. She even had a shrine in the barracks of the imperial bodyguard. There is some evidence that Epona could have been linked to the idea of sovereignty as well as being a horse goddess, and linked to the land and fertility. Certainly, the fact that she was invoked on behalf of the Roman emperor implies a link of some kind to rulership, and horse symbolism is a recurring theme of sovereignty. In some kingship rituals, the king had to first mate with a mare, and then that mare was sacrificed. And in some cases, the king was then required to sit in a bath of broth made from the mare. Okay, that is straight up disgusting, sorry. There are other deities that have the horse as one of their sacrificed animals, but few, if any, with as strong a link to the land as Epona seems to have had. From a patroness of horses, Epona has become a goddess linked to the land and fertility, rulership, and possibly the underworld. And the author of this article from druidry.com writes, "For me personally, Epona is the patroness of all journeys, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. She is a goddess of the land and its seasons, of fertility in all things. She is my mother, my sister, and my friend. I feel her presence beside me, keeping me safe, giving me strength for each day. I see her touch in every new green shoot of the spring and in every fruit of the autumn. I hear her voice in the whispers of the breeze through the trees and in the song of the river. She is the great mare." So that was pretty interesting. And I'm going to share one more. Yes, Jeanette, I do the free pulls on my other stream. This is the card of the day stream. Yeah, it was pretty interesting, but dang, that was straight up bestiality. That was something. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to goddessguide.com with a hyphen in there, Goddess Epona. Let me make sure you can see it. Okay, here we go. Areas of influence. Epona was a Celtic horse goddess whose worship spread to Britain and Rome from Western Europe. Her name means divine mare in Gaulish. Despite being a Gaulish word, most of the surviving inscriptions and texts that mention this goddess are in Latin. The Roman cavalry had shrines dedicated to her. She became almost like a patron emblem of certain factions of the Roman army. Her popularity did not end there. It was common to find small shrines in stables. Eventually, she was so popular that a temple was dedicated to her in Rome. There was also a Roman festival to honor her, which was celebrated on December 18th. We know that. The mare was an ancient symbol of fertility that has led to suggestions that she was an early mother goddess figure whose role was later reduced to protector of horses. Her cornucopia and the basket of fruit she carried provided further support for her role as fertility goddess. This goddess is often linked to both Rhiannon in Wales and Macha in Ireland due to their shared association with horses. There are no surviving Gaulish myths dedicated to this goddess. She was the bestower of sovereignty in Celtic kingship rights. The Celtic horse goddess has been linked to the white horse at Uffington and Lady Godiva. Interesting. There are no accounts of her parentage or suggestions that she married and had children. For her strength, she is the protector, especially of horses and horsemen. Her weaknesses. As the information about this goddess comes mainly from archaeological finds, there is little information on this goddess's personality. Epona's symbolism. She is depicted as a young goddess, either sitting side saddle on a horse or feeding mares and foals food from a cornucopia or fruit basket. There are also several images showing her riding a horse and cart. Sacred animals associated with Epona: horses, mules, donkeys, dogs, and birds. Sacred plants. Garlands of roses were used to decorate her shrines. Incense and wine was offered. And for archetypes, the author here says, "I've not assigned a specific archetype to this goddess as she has no distinct personality. She could be seen as a child of nature due to her link with horses and dogs." And the author says, "I dismiss this option, however, as this archetype conjures up images of wild animals rather than domesticated ones." So that was interesting as well. And I'm going to stop sharing and let us take a closer look at this artwork by Jenna Della Grataglia for Epona. The horse goddess. So that was very interesting. I might look up a little bit more of the historical aspects of Epona. Yes, wise leadership means a lot more to me now, hearing some of that history. Okay. So, first of all, Spirit is speaking about wise leadership. I'm going to pull a message from the fairies, the Oracle of the Fairies. Let's see what we have here. And again, this is by Karen Kay, Oracle of the Fairies, with artwork by Ginger Kelly. And thank you, Spirit. What message from the fairies do you have for us today? What message from the fairies do you have for us today? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What message from the fairies do you have for us today? Okay. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for us today? Thank you, Spirit. Oh, right here we have fairy spotting. So cute. It's so interesting too because I used this picture for one of my thumbnails for the video just the other day. Okay. I touched those cards and Spirit is saying, now read them. You showed the picture, now read it. I'm going to move it over here so you can see the fairy. Actually, I'll just put the fairy up here. Okay. Can't see the little girl. Fairy spotting. It's time to go fairy spotting. It's said that seeing is believing, but in fact, the opposite is true. Believing is seeing. Have you ever seen a fairy? Maybe you have, but you try to explain it away with a voice of reason. Or perhaps you're a fully fledged believer, or better still, a knower. You know fairies exist. Fairies can appear to us in many different ways. Being sensitive and open to experiences is helpful when fairy spotting, as it allows us to be more receptive to seeing these magical spirits of nature. They very often appear as flashes of light darting around wooded areas or gardens, or, if you're really lucky, inside your home. They can also manifest just outside your line of sight, often in the corner of your field of vision, so you're not totally sure if there's anything there at all. Sometimes they can be felt intuitively, seen only in your mind's eye. They may also bring a flowery scent or an unusual smell rather like toffee, apples, or popcorn. When they appear in their full form, it's a true privilege, for they're rightly wary of humans. You could try photographing fairies. Even if you can't see them with your own eyes, a camera can often pick up a fairy essence, which may appear as a beam of light or a tiny orb. The best place to do this is out in nature, either in your garden or in woodland. Midsummer's Eve is a particularly good time to look for fairies. You're most likely to see a fairy if you care about nature and the environment, as they will be more willing to connect with you. So I'm not sure if you even believe in fairies, but if you do believe in fairies, it's time to go and find them. Maybe we should do a little bit of history on fairies. Wait, what? The Sun has an article here. Okay, I'm not going to bring that one up. I feel like, did I read this one before? Okay, we'll start with this one. Oh, you do, Erica? Okay, awesome. Okay. This one is The Origins and History of Fairies from historicuk.com. I want to make sure that it comes up on the screen. There we go. The Origins of Fairies by Ellen Castello. Most of us think of fairies as tiny creatures flitting about on gossamer wings, waving a magic wand, but history and folklore tell a different tale. When belief in fairies was common, most people didn't like to mention them by name, and so referred to them by other names, the little people or the hidden people. Many explanations have been given for belief in fairies. Some say they are like ghosts, spirit of the dead, or were fallen angels, neither bad enough for hell nor good enough for heaven. There are hundreds of different kinds of fairies. Some are minute creatures, others grotesque, some can fly, and all can appear and disappear at will. The oldest fairies on record in England were first described by the historian Gervase of Tilbury in the 13th century. Oh, lovely. I clicked on something and I'm at a survey. Sorry about that. Let me get away from that ad. With too many ads here. Brownies and other hobgoblins. Oh, wait a minute. There's that dang ad. Brownies and other hobgoblins pictured right are guardian fairies. They are useful ones and do housework and odd jobs around the house. In Aberdeenshire, Scotland, they are hideous to look at. They have no separate toes or fingers, and in the Scottish lowlands they have a hole instead of a nose. Banshees are less common and more sinister. They usually only appear to foretell a tragedy. In Highland tradition, the washer by the ford, a web-footed, one-nostriled, buck-toothed hag is only seen washing blood-stained clothes when men are about to meet a violent death. Goblins and bugaboos are always malignant. Avoid them if possible. Most of the nature fairies are perhaps descendants of pre-Christian gods and goddesses, or are the spirits of trees and streams. Black Annis, a blue-faced hag, haunts the Dane hills in Leicestershire, and Gentle Annie, who governs storms in the Scottish lowlands, are perhaps descended from the Celtic goddess Danu, the mother of Ireland's cave fairies. Mermaids and mermen, river spirits, and spirits of pools are the most common nature fairies. Marsh gas makes the flickering flames that hover over marshy ground and gives rise to the belief in jack-o'-lantern. Jack-o'-lantern, or will-o'-the-wisp, is a highly dangerous fairy that haunts marshy ground, luring unwary travelers to their death in the bogs. Belief in fairies has not completely died out. As recently as 1962, a Somerset farmer's wife told how she had lost her way on the Berkshire Downs and was put on the right track by a small man in green who appeared suddenly at her elbow and then disappeared. A woman on holiday in Cornwall with her daughter came across a small green man with pointed hood and ears. They were so alarmed they ran for the ferry, cold with terror. Another eyewitness account in the 20th century. So, do we believe in fairies? I wonder. Notice how they don't put any names to the people who have experienced them. Just a woman and a man in this city, in this country, one night. But very interesting. Yes, this is some history of fairies, mystical. This is the card of the day stream. So we're doing a little bit, looking a little bit more into some other things. Let me see. Because our card of the day is fairy spotting. I'll put it back up. So this is all about going into the garden and looking for the fairies. And that was a little background on some fairies. I think we'll go a little bit further with the fairies. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then I'm going to share a different article. Let me check out this one from the otherworldlyoracle.com. Yeah, I like this site. It's very pretty. Okay, let's go. Let's check out this article. Make sure that's up. There we go. And again, this is otherworldlyoracle.com. And this is 30 plus types of fairies. You might end up watching a fairy movie or something tonight. Who knows? As a little girl, nothing fascinated more than the fairy realm. I watched any and every movie that featured fairies, devoured fairy tale books, and had figurines all over my bedroom. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I learned there were more than a few types of fairies, and that the realm of the fae was much more beautifully complicated and dangerous than I ever imagined. The fairies we see in mainstream media are typically the garden fairy variety or pixies, but that leaves out the brownies, elves, gnomes, dwarves, and many more. First, what are fairies? What are fairies and where do they come from? Depending on who you ask, you get a different answer every time. These elusive creatures are theorized to be everything from an ancient tiny race of human beings to gods to the souls of unbaptized children. I always felt the answer was somewhere in between and maybe a mixture of a few things. They are spirits of nature, guardians of wildlife and sacred natural places, but also may once have been considered gods, and as mentioned before, it also depends on the culture. 30 plus different types of fairies all over the world, and I am going to go through all 30, just so you know. Alvin. Alvin are a type of fairy from Holland who are attached to bodies of water, lakes, rivers, and ponds. Though the river Elbe is particularly sacred to them, Alvin travel by way of bubbles. They get inside bubbles and float along to their destination. When seen, Alvin are tiny enough to fit in a bubble or sometimes take the shape-shifted form of an otter. This is why their other name is Ottermaner. They come out in hordes on the full moon, dancing and playing in the moonlight reflected on the water. Alvin aren't typically mean to human beings unless you desecrate their home or pick night blooming flowers near their sacred river. Number 2, Boggarts. The Scottish Boggart may be the original boogeyman or boogeyman. They look like the Scottish brownie, but they aren't nice, and they won't do your chores. Some people believe brownies turn into boggarts when angered. A boggart is not a good fairy to have in your house as they seek to destroy your home. Legend says they chew on the wood like a termite and will try to suffocate children at night. Enter the story of the boogeyman coming out at night and tormenting children. If they're not in a house, they're scaring travelers on rural roads. Number 3, bean seed, aka the banshee, type of a death fairy. The bean seed or banshee is probably the most well-known death fairy from Irish lore. She is also known as the washer at the fords and the wailing woman. The Morrigan, and the Morrigan was our death and magic goddess that we covered like 2 days ago. The Morrigan, who is a Celtic war goddess, is often associated with the banshee, and some believe they are one and the same. This type of fairy is believed to be attached to the old noble Irish families. Her scream is heard right before someone dies, sometimes right outside the dying's window. If you see her washing bloody shrouds in the river, it is also a sign you or your family member will soon depart. Her presence is an omen of imminent death, and therefore many people fear this type of fairy. And you may read more about the banshee there. Excuse me. Beantie, the Irish house fairy. The beantie or banty is the Irish version of the Scottish brownie. She is a pleasant type of fairy that lives in a family's household and helps with their chores. You can feel free to come to my house. The main difference between the beantie and the brownie gender. The beantie is female. The name beantie translates to woman of the house. When the beantie is spotted, she's typically wearing tattered house clothes. Her face is wrinkly and she stands no taller than a few feet. Not only does she help with household chores, she watches over children and animals in the house. Brownies, a type of Scottish house fairy. The Scottish brownie isn't a dessert. He's a house fairy that lives in old manors and homes in Scotland. He is a small fairy standing about 2 feet tall and helps with household chores once the lady of the house goes to sleep. The brownie only aids those who are worthy. He doesn't like laziness. Never give a brownie clothes or he might leave. Brownies might have traveled with Scottish immigrants to the United States and Canada, and he's a shapeshifter, often taking the form of the rooster to crow in the morning. And there is the brownie cleaning up the house. Actually, is that the hobgoblin? I think that's the hobgoblin. The hobgoblin is a type of fairy from northern England and may be the same creature as the Scottish boggart. The name hobgoblin comes from hob, which means elf, and goblin, which means mischievous fairy. According to old folklore, the hob was once a hearth spirit and helpful to the household. But as Christianity rose to power, the hob became the hobgoblin and was demonized. Hobgoblins look like Scottish brownies, small, hairy little men. They enjoy doing chores around the house like ironing, sweeping, etc. in exchange for food offerings and libations. Shakespeare's version of Puck in Midsummer's Night's Dream is probably the most famous literary hobgoblin next to Dobby of the Harry Potter series. It seems this type of fairy is helpful until it's angered, just like its Scottish counterpart. Number 7, buttery sprites. Sounds delicious, right? Unfortunately, buttery sprites are not a new flavor of soda. They're a type of fairy from England who were particularly precocious in medieval times. They're called buttery sprites because they are spirits who love to steal freshly churned butter. No one claims to have ever seen a buttery sprite. They come out at night and are likely invisible unless want to be seen. I picture them somewhere close to the pixie. Sprites love to irritate and play pranks on hypocritical people. They love to play pranks on hypocritical people. Okay, buttery sprites. We got some work for you. Sorry. Okay, number eight. Number eight, pixies. Pixies are the most well-known type of fairy and seem to be the image most people call up when hearing the word fairy. Other names for pixies include dusters, piskies, grigs, pecks, and pickers. They are of Scottish and English origin. Tinker Bell, the fairy in Peter Pan, is a pixie and depicts the classic pixie look. Small, winged creature with a large head and tiny body. There are theories that suggest Pixie relates to the Picts, ancient people who once occupied Scotland. Pixies love gardens full of flowers and are active on the spring and summer Sabbats, Ostra, Beltane, Litha, and Lugnasada. You read these words, but when it's time to say them, you're like, I don't know how to pronounce that. They're generally helpful but incredibly mischievous. And there is our pixie with an ad. Gnomes. Gnomes are a small type of fairy that live in the roots and trunks of ancient trees. The male gnomes have long white beards and white hair. Gnomes wear red hats, and the females are sometimes seen holding their tiny babies. They protect the forest and the wildlife around them, and as such are part of the traditional quote unquote elementals in ceremonial magic. Gnomes are called upon when summoning the guardians of the watchtowers of the north in a magic circle. Gob is the king of the gnome kingdom. When gnomes live in your garden will surely be blessed. Elves. In Norse mythology, elves are godlike. Freyr, king of the elves, is illustrated and treated as a god and divine ancestor to those of Swedish blood. There are light elves and dark elves in the prose Edda. While ingrained in Norse and Germanic mythos, elves are seen worldwide. They can appear as tall, radiant beings or tiny as a mouse. In Germany, elves are known as expert weavers and spinners, hence the fairy tale Rumpelstiltskin, an elf that spins gold. Elves typically travel in groups, and when they do so, are called trooping elves. In the United States, elves are seen at the edges of forests and sometimes in quiet graveyards, and always wear green with green hats. And this one looks pretty hard. Calacanzaro. No. Calacanzaroi. Calacanzari. Calacansaroi are malevolent goblin-type fairies in old Mediterranean and Anatolian folklore. Though their malevolence is debated and their reputation may have been ruined with the rise of the church. These goblins ride on the backs of chickens and their favorite food is pork. They are supposedly ugly little men who ride in groups along with other goblins and fairies. The Calacansaroi are active on the nights approaching winter solstice and supposedly are never seen past the 12th night. Illustrations show the Calacansaros having misformed teeth, donkey ears, and goat legs. In Turkey, they are equated with vampires and werewolves. Number 12. Chin Chin Kobakama. The Chin Chin Kobakama is a Japanese house fairy that prefers the home to be kept clean, specifically the floors. If it's clean, they will bless the home. If it's not clean and the residents are lazy, this fairy will pick on the home's inhabitants with no regard. They look like tiny wizened elves but are surprisingly energetic and spry. There's an old fairy tale where a woman is tormented by little men who live in the carpet. Amber Heard! No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then I was down on the carpet. And I never knew why was the carpet so dirty. I'm sorry. Okay. They look like tiny wizened elves, but are surprisingly energetic and spry. There's an old fairy tale where a woman is tormented by little men who live in the carpet. I'm sorry. When her husband lashes out at them, they turn into toothpicks. Oh my gosh. Okay. Domovoy. Domovoy. Let's try that. Domovoy. A type of Russian house fairy. The Scottish have their brownie, the Japanese the Chin Chin Kobakama, and the Slavs have the Domovoy. The Domovoy are household spirits who are fond of the hearth. They are fierce protectors of the Slavic home as long as they are fed and kept appeased. The Domovoy are a type of elf and live in the hearth's flames. The domovoi is a shapeshifter and appears as a little woman, man, cat, cow, or pig, depending on its mood. He is also called the old man of the house. This type of fairy is believed to have been an ancestor's spirit. In some tales, the eldest person would be the first to enter a new home. They would be the first to die and so become the home's domovoi. The domovoi's main job was to protect the home from other spirits, the elements, and dark magic. They have a podcast on the domovoi, which sounds very interesting. Dryads. Dryads are originally a Greek type of tree fairy or the actual spirits of the trees, but truly their presence is worldwide. If you listen to the trees blowing in the breeze, you'll hear their whispers. Dryads appear as pure wisps of light that dart from treetop to treetop. Dryads may be the spirits who gave the name to the Celtic priesthood, Druids. After all, Druids' worship centered around trees, and tree groves were their sanctuaries. Daphne is the most famous of Dryads. In Greek mythology, Daphne was pursued by the god Apollo and thereafter turned into a laurel tree. And this would be a depiction of Daphne, the Dryad. And that could be an ad. I'm not sure what that is. I'll get a sip of my tea while I see what that is loading. I don't see an X on here to get rid of that. Okay, let's just move on. I think that was an ad. Oh. Gemininos. Let me see. Gemaninos. Okay, let's try that. The Gemaninos are trooping fairies that fly in groups over Mexico, particularly on holy nights of the year. When seen, they look like cupids or fat, chubby children. There are both male and female Gemaninos. Male equals Gemaninos, female are Gemanininas. This is where the theory of fairies being unbaptized children's souls is perpetuated. Since the Gemaninos resemble children and fly in the sky, people who see them assume they are lost children's souls. Knockers. Knockers are of Cornish origin, but this type of fairy is heard all over the world. Some people don't believe they are fairies, but frightening ghosts instead. They tend to make a lot of noise, hence their names, knockers. Knockers are heard deep in the earth, many miners over the centuries, some that swear they never return to mining. Others claim knockers lead the miners to riches. They've also been known to jump out and make funny faces at the miners. Knockers can create mine cave-ins, but have also helped miners find their way out, or have aided rescue teams to caved-in miners. The custom is to knock when you enter the mine to let them know you're there, and doff your hat in greeting. Others feed the knockers with offerings of food. Menehuna. Before the indigenous Hawaiians lived on the islands, a smaller race of people called Menehuna lived there. Some of the lakes are said to have been made by the Menehuna. These fairies are tropical and are seen in the forests of Polynesia. In addition to being expert builders, they are treasure hoarders similar to the Irish leprechaun. They are capricious but typically benevolent to humans who respect Mother Earth. Greenies. Oh, we don't need to see you, Governor Ron DeSantis. Greenies, also called moss people and flying leaves, are seen in nearly every forest in the world. They are tiny fairies that dance and flip from tree to tree, but just when you think you see them, they're gone. They are experts at camouflaging themselves, so even when you think you see them in a photo, you'll look again and nothing's there. In Germany and Switzerland, they're equated with butterflies. This winged fairy is active in spring and summer and are only found in the most dense of woodlands. Some claim you can communicate with them by first offering fresh milk and sweets, but be careful, they're capricious like pixies and won't hesitate to play pranks or steal your things. Nixon. Nixies, or the Nixon, are water fairies with a tendency to lure unsuspecting sailors to their deaths on rocks. They also enjoy stirring up a good thunderstorm when humans are encroaching on their territory. When they leave their river homes, they're beautiful and seductive women. You may be tempted, but you'll know she's a Nixie if she appears wet and covered in water plant material. This water fairy was once seen often trying to take men with them into the depths of the water. They've been seen less frequently over the past century or so. Nixies, that could be a very good plot for a show. Nixon. That would be an awesome TV series. Okay, Fukas. The Fuka is a fairy of Irish myth with the head of a person and the body of a horse. They are always malevolent and or mischievous and steal crops from farmers, especially any crops that aren't harvested before Samhain, right? I was going to say Sam Hain, but isn't it really pronounced Samhain? Um, Halloween. The Fuka spooks children with no regard and have been known to kill livestock. Watch your babies because the Fuka rides around looking for the perfect child to steal and replace with a changeling. Fukas are typically seen after Samhain and before midsummer, never in between those times. If you want to harvest plants after sunset, you risk meeting a Fuka. Redcaps. As their name suggests, redcaps are fairy who always wear red hats. They are solitary fairies that haunt old ruins of castles and manors in Scotland and England. Redcap sightings have been documented for centuries, even in modern times. When you see a redcap, don't get curious, run. He is said to be a cannibal and will strike down anyone he sees that he feels is a threat. The red cap he wears is supposedly stained from blood. In addition to wearing a red cap, you'll know him by his small stature, hairy body, and he carries a scythe. Perhaps he's misunderstood, but I don't think I want to find out. Rusalki. This type of water fairy is of Russian origin. The Rusalki appear as women bathing in rivers and lakes. They're typically not malevolent or vicious at first, but their games can become downright frightening. You might find yourself floating face down in the river and realizing it just before taking a deep breath. Or you might find yourself lost in the woods alongside their sacred river. The Rusalki are generally feared by the Slavic people because of their torturous water games. Interestingly, before the 19th century, the Rusalki were considered benevolent, especially for fertility purposes. But after they became malicious demonic mermaid type creatures, they're always seen with long green hair or naked with long light brown hair. Some stories say they tickle men to death and climb trees in the summer. Number 23, Tomtra. The Tomtra is a type of Finnish house fairy that protects the household. When seen, he wears brown clothes and a green hat. He is similar to the Scottish brownie, but a bit grumpier. If he isn't fed or angered, he will play tricks on the home's inhabitants. He particularly dislikes sloppiness, and the floors should be kept clean as much as possible. The Tomtra like throwing things like small bouncy balls, paper clips, etc. You'll find tiny objects all over the floor when he's angry about the floor being dirty. If you stepped on that Lego in the middle of the night, it may have been a Tomtra. Pick up your floors, people. Okay, so I know I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Tuatha De Danann. The Tuatha De Danann, or the people of the goddess Danu, were once the deities who ruled the country of Ireland. The Fomorians drove them into the hills, where they stay to this day. Technically, they are gods, but were eventually said to be fairies. Some writers say they are gods, yet not gods. They are an anomaly. Anomaly. They are an anomaly. Danu, the Dagda, and the Morrigan are all gods and parts of the Tuatha De Danann. They feature widely in many Irish myths and sagas, and modern Celtic pagans honor them in their practice. They are trooping fairies, but have every ability and opportunity to show up solitary anytime, any place. Leprechaun. And here's our little leprechaun. The leprechaun is the most famous type of fairy from Ireland. Some folks don't realize the leprechaun is of the fairy realm, but he is. A capricious, gold hoarding little man. Find him with his pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Legend says if you find him, he will grant you 3 wishes. The leprechaun is a solitary fairy but makes shoes for his fellow fairies. Leprechauns love gold, music, dancing, whiskey, and playing pranks on humans. Monticello, a type of Italian house fairy. The Monticello is a type of Italian house fairy that guards the wine cellar. He wears a red hooded cloak and likes to partake of the wine inventory. Provide him with regular wine offerings to keep him happy, and he will continue to protect your wine cellar. Legend says the Monticello has a secret treasure, and if you can take his hood, you get his treasure. I don't recommend stealing anything from a fairy, though. It won't end well. And number 27, Vile. The Vile are Slavic fairies who are comparable to nymphs, long-haired, beautiful female elemental spirits. Some live in the air on clouds, some in the water, and some in woodlands. The Vile also resemble the Valkyries of Norse mythology in that they choose handsome, strong men to assist in battle. They are shapeshifters and take the form of many animals, including swans, wolves, and other birds. When this type of fairy is seen, they are often seen dancing in circles in the wilderness. One must never interrupt the dance of the Vile. Number 28, Kelpies. Kelpies are Irish water horses and a type of fairy. They're easily distinguished from physical horses because they look wet and sometimes have seaweed caught in their mane and tail. Just like with other fairies, a Kelpie's demeanor varies by legend. Sometimes Kelpies drag unsuspecting humans to the depths of the water. Sometimes they aid humans. 29. Selkies. Selkies are shape-shifting water fairies found off the coast of Scotland, namely in Orkney. These beings are similar to mer people, but different in that they have no fish fins. Instead, they take on a seal form when in the water and shed their seal skins when on land. There are dozens of stories of men marrying Selkie women, only to have them unexpectedly return to their home in the sea. Crying 7 tears into the sea will summon a male Selkie to take as a lover, according to folklore. And last and not least, we have mermaids and mermen. While some might not consider mer people as a type of fairy, they are indeed a supernatural being of the elemental kind, so we are including them here. Mermaids and mermen have been seen all over the world, and nearly every culture has their own legends about them. Theories abound as to their origins. Are they spirits of the ocean? Are they hybrid human beings that somehow went a different evolutionary direction? We may never know. Most mer people appear as half human, half fish, typically with the bottom half of their bodies covered in fish scales and ending in fins. Mermaids and mermen are known in legend to save drowning humans or to drown humans. They may be benevolent or malevolent, depending on the type of mermaid and its temperament. And I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to remove this. There we go. Yes, the leprechaun. So, yes, those dirty floors. Those dirty floors. Make sure your floors are clean. So the reason we went into that was because our fairy message today was a bit different. It was fairy spotting. And now I don't know what I did with my book. Oh, I think I put it away. Okay. So I'm actually going to read it again now that we've gone over 30 different types of fairies. I'm going to read it again, so maybe now you're a little inspired to do a little fairy spotting and maybe clean up those floors, put out a little bit of a treat. Very interesting, right? It's time to go fairy spotting. It's said that seeing is believing, but in fact the opposite is true. Believing is seeing. Have you ever seen a fairy? Maybe you have, but you try to explain it away with a voice of reason. Or perhaps you're a fully fledged believer, or better still, a knower. You know fairies exist. Fairies can appear to us in many different ways. Being sensitive and open to experiences is helpful when fairy spotting, as it allows us to be more receptive to seeing these magical spirits of nature. They very often appear as flashes of light, darting around wooded areas or gardens, or if you're really lucky, inside your home, where they want to see a clean floor. They can also manifest just outside your line of sight, often in the corner of your field of vision, so you're not totally sure if there's anything there at all. Sometimes they can be felt intuitively, seen only in your mind's eye. They may also bring a flowery scent or an unusual smell, rather like toffee apples or popcorn. When they appear in their full form, it's a true privilege, for they're rightly wary of humans. You could try photographing fairies. Even if you can't see them with your own eyes, a camera can often pick up a fairy essence, which may appear as a beam of light or a tiny orb. The best place to do this is out in nature, either in your garden or in woodland. Midsummer's Eve is a particularly good time to look for fairies. You're most likely to see a fairy if you care about nature and the environment, as they will be more willing to connect with you. So there we have it. Many different types of fairies that you can read about, study about, look into, and then either avoid with the plague or hopefully invite into your home. I thought the vial was very fascinating. And Nixon, my goodness, what a great plot for either a book or a television series. The Nixon are absolutely fascinating fairies. Oh, great, Mystical. Let me know if you encounter any fairies. Okay, so now we are moving on to messages from the mermaids. And I do have to say, I feel like I learned a lot. I'm looking at my mermaids as if they're fairies now. And again, this is my Messages from the Mermaids Oracle deck by Karen Kay, artwork by Linda Olson. And thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for us today from the mermaids? What message do you have for us today from the mermaids? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for us from the mermaids today? What message do you have for us from the mermaids today? Right here. And it is go with the flow. Go with the flow. And this mermaid actually, Charlie Bear, looks very similar to the one on the cover. I think that might be the same one. So today's messages from Spirit. First, we had Epona, and we learned more about this Celtic horse goddess. Fairy spotting, and I'll go with the flow. Our messages are all very laid back today. Go with the flow. Let go and go with the flow. You'll get where you need to be when you surrender and trust in the natural flow of life. This mermaid wants you to know that life can be more fun when you go with the flow. She's allowing herself to be carried along the currents of the sea. She has total trust in the ocean to take her to wherever her destiny may lead. When we push against the flow, it can feel very tiring. This card tells us to simply surrender to the flow of life. It's about trust. trusting in your destiny and knowing that everything happens as at exactly the right time. So try releasing any attachment to a particular outcome and allow life to take you in the right direction. Going with the flow means you spend less energy forcing things to happen. When we fully trust in our own destiny, we know on a deeper level that what is meant for us won't pass us by. Is there a situation in your life in which things aren't going as smoothly as you wish? If not yourself, then perhaps someone close to you is experiencing an uphill struggle, where every move they make has the opposite effect of what they wish to happen. If this rings true, then this card serves as a reminder, telling you to surrender to the flow of life and allow all the pieces to float perfectly into place without any struggle or force. Whatever your query, the answer is simply to go with the flow. This doesn't mean you're giving up or are defeated, rather, that your lack of resistance will bring you a sense of freedom and completion. Very nice. Oh, I do too, Erica. Yeah, Spirit took this dream in a bit of a different direction. Very laid back. And then our mermaid message was go with the flow, which I literally did today, right? I changed up everything and went with the flow. Thank you, Spirit. What is today's situation, solution, advice, and outcome? Oh, and I guess I did I did is connect. I'm sorry, I had it on mute because my dog was getting ready to bark, and then I forgot to put it back on. What I had said was, if you had been here for the whole time, you actually had a full chakra cleanse with this music that goes through every solfeggio frequency. So thank you, Spirit. What is our situation, solution, advice, and outcome? And thank you, Erica. Otherwise, I would have done the whole tarot spread on mute. God bless you, Erica. You saved the day. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What is our situation, solution? Okay, right here. Situation card is the Four of Pentacles. Wow, wow, wow. Our Four of Pentacles is block change. It's possessiveness. It's holding on to what we have, not letting go. Perfectly goes in line with go with the flow. Because as you can see, like this woman is holding on to this pentacle and she's like squeezing it and holding it on too tightly. And it could represent money. Sometimes this will show up in a financial spread if you're not being generous, or even like if you're asking, like, should I buy a house now? Depending on where this card shows up, it could mean hold on to your money, or, in the position, it could mean actually let go of the money because you're holding too tightly. So go with the flow. What are we holding close to us? What are we trying to control? What are we squeezing so tightly that we're blocking the flow of what Spirit wants to do in our lives? Whatever your question is, this reading is not time sensitive. So according to the situation that you're asking about right now, This is about possessing things. This is about getting your share, and it can even be onto a person. Are you being possessive of a person? Are you trying to maintain control? Are you denying your weakness? Are you blocking change? Do you want everything to stay the same? Are you refusing to try a new approach? Our fours are all about being stuck or stagnant, but sometimes in the positive, it could be stability. But if your question is, in line with this reading today, and if it's about not opening up, not changing, not going with the flow, things of that nature, then this would be referring to being either too controlled, be controlling, too organized, at a stalemate, stagnant, or at some form of a blockage. So let's see, our solution is the moon. The moon. And I actually wondered a bit if we were going to see anything come in to go along with the deep look into the fairy. And you know, this message today, right, about the fairies, um to go outside and fairy spot and look for fairies, it just really made me feel like Spirit was saying, let's embrace our spirituality. Let's look at what we don't believe in and be more open to what Spirit has in this magical world that we live in. Sometimes many people feel like, there's no such thing as magic. But when you really just stop to think like, okay, well, I'm a human being living on a planet that's hanging out, just floating in the universe. And it's just the whole entire experience of life is magical. It's magic. Okay. All of this is magic. We are magic. The universe is magic. This is a magical experience. So how you can actually like be alive and not believe in magic is like, what is life if it's not magic, right? I'm sorry for the Facebook spammer. Let me block this. I mean, when you just think of like the way reproduction takes place, right? Um, just the beauty of, you're born with the seed inside you, the egg inside you, when the male is born, and the life just continues. That's not magic. We can't trace this back to the origin. It's magic. So when people are like, I don't believe that, it defies the laws. that defies the laws of physics that govern my life. It's like, what life are you living? You're not on a spiritually cosmic magical journey like the rest of us. A life after death does not make sense. It defies the laws of physics. What laws are you talking about? You understand all of the laws that birthed this into existence. The fact that we're very here right now is magic. The fact that we have such an incredible planet that we live on with all of this life is magic. And then that, there's no other life on other planets. It's only this one. Because this is my experience. This is all I see. This is all there is. There is nothing more. No, dude. The magic, the God, the life source that created this beautiful planet, I'm sure created everywhere else. And sometimes, you just have to stop and wonder, how much power do you actually have as a human on your own? How much power do you really have? You know, um, it's all magic. So anyways, to get back to our situation and our solution. So our situation is, are you stuck in possessiveness? Are you trying to control everything? Um, Again, I'm going back to our beautiful fairy lesson, fairy spot. Look for the magic. Don't lose sight that we're here having this magical experience, right? Now, the moon can represent your imagination, having vivid dreams and visions and opening yourself up to fantasy, which is what we're believing in when we're fairy spotting in these things, right? But the moon also comes with a dark side, a shadow side, where you you start to believe in fears, and you're feeling fears, and your doubt, and you're having phobias, and it's very, very negative. So the spirit is saying here, the solution to get out of this change is to just bring back that magic, that beauty of life. Let your mind wander. Don't let your mind be filled with fear. Let your mind be filled with inspiration and imagination. Tap into your subconscious, your unconscious ideas. Write down your dreams. Look into your dreams and see how spirit is communicating with you, because this is a magical journey. And if you're not opening yourself up to it, you're going to have a miserable experience here, and chances are you're going to be coming here to do this whole thing again. So our advice here is the 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles. And the 10 of Pentacles has been showing up in a lot of the four card spreads. It's been showing up here, and it's been showing up in on my fractal flower streams, which are more geared towards nature and natural things and plants, and working with plants for healing and magic and ritual and ceremony and things of that nature. And things over on that channel are growing in such a beautiful direction. I'm very excited about it. But the 10 of Pentacles, it can represent the family unit, because we're seeing the dog, we're seeing the older gentleman, we're seeing the younger, we're seeing generations and family. But it's all about wealth, and it's all about abundance and prosperity. The 10 of Pentacles is such a beautiful, beautiful card. And our advice here is to enjoy this experience, to make solutions that are going to last, to feel secure. Get rid of the doubt, get rid of the fear, get rid of the illusions, and work on things that are permanent. Work on things that you know are going to lift you up and make your life the magical experience that you are meant to have. The 10 of Pentacles, it's definitely financial. Like a lot of these cards, if your question right now is about finances, our 4 of Pentacles is saying that maybe you're feeling a little bit too, you're dealing with fears, and you're financially worried. And the spirit here now, the advice spirit is saying, is to focus on tried and trusted true methods while building your wealth. This is actually a very good positive reading for those who are dealing with financial issues. But this is a very spiritual message as well, that when you have a spiritual wealth of abundance within you, nothing is going to put you in a spiritual state of poverty. Nothing is going to strike you down. And our outcome card is the 6 of Swords. And our 6 of Swords is all about healing. It's all about a journey of healing. And this is one of my favorite cards. The 2 of Wands and the 6 of Swords. I have a very personal story when I first learned tarot. It's on my Read the Tarot Twitter account in a very long thread, one of my first posts, when I discovered that I have a genetic condition, that my son has a genetic condition. And one of my very earliest times with tarot, how I became a tarot reader. Every time I see this card and think of that, just tears come to my eyes. I mean, Spirit really just said to me, don't give up on life. It's okay. The 6 of Swords, okay, whatever your situation is, this is the outcome. The outcome is healing. The outcome is always healing. You may not know this, but the outcome is always healing. As a psychic medium, somebody who works with spirits who are on the other side, the outcome is always healing. No matter how dark those spirits are, no matter how dark or trapped their lives have been, they are healed. They are being healed, and they are in a healing process on the other side. And the 6 of Swords, beautiful description. Of course, this imagery comes from Pamela Coleman Smith. And as you can see on the right side in this picture, my right, maybe your left, I'm not sure how it looks. But as you can see, the water here is choppy. The water on this side is calm and smooth. And this man has been through the battle. He's been through the journey. He's been through uphill. He's been through sickness. He's been through disease. He's been through poverty. He's been through loss. He's been through betrayal. He's been through heartache. He has been through it all. Each of those swords are one of the daggers that have come to pierce him and take him out of this journey. They're in the boat. They haven't pierced the boat. They're close to him, but they haven't pierced him. They haven't taken him out. And now he is leaving that choppy water, and he's moving into the smooth sailing, the smooth days that come ahead. This card always represents you are leaving the horrible situation and you are moving into the beautiful healing. If this was a question about financial troubles, this as an outcome means you are leaving the trouble and you are moving into better times. Whenever this card appears as an outcome, you are going into better times. You are not going into the sickness. You're not going into bad health. You're leaving bad health. This is a card of recovery, of healing. It can also show up if you're actually on a journey. So that's one meaning, that it can mean there's travel. So it always depends on your question and where this would, where it would fall. But it's always about leaving that situation, being in recovery, getting over the past time. So even if you have been dealing with depression, our Six of Swords is saying you're coming out of that depression and better times are ahead. So the Six of Swords as an outcome is always, always one of my favorite cards. And like I said, when I found out, my son and I, it was I think a 6-year journey to get a diagnosis of what was going on. And it was basically through the tarot that led me and guided me on the journey and told me every step of the way, like nothing was happening until I trusted spirit. And tarot told me, go to this doctor, keep going. And every step of the way, everything was accurate. And then when I finally pulled one card, and it was like me crying out to God, I need to know what is the outcome of this diagnosis. And this is what I pulled, the Six of Swords. And it is always, always going to be the most important card in the deck to me, because it was God saying to me, you and your son, your children, your line, your generation, it's a rare genetic disorder that definitely was in my family before I came to the planet, but never diagnosed until the tarot led me to the miraculous diagnosis. But it was God's confirmation to me, because when it finally came to that diagnosis and I had a breakdown, complete breakdown, and said, what is my life going to be like now? It was the Six of Swords that said, you know what? You just deal with it. Everybody deals with something. You just deal with it and you make the best of your life the way you have it. And it is healing. It's healing. You're moving in the right direction. So I hope this reading blessed you today. I know my card of the day went on to almost an hour and a half. But I really enjoyed it. I feel inspired. I feel like looking for fairies. I'm going to go make sure my floor is super clean. I just, sorry for the Amber Heard bit when I saw that, the little men in the carpet. Oh my gosh, I couldn't get over that Amber Heard bit. But I'm actually going to be back later. I'm probably going to take a little break. I'll probably be back either between like 6 and 7 sometime, and I will be doing psychic mediumship, spirit messages, and our tarot. And Sam, I will be bringing you a reading, because you are one of my biggest supporters. You are always blessing me, and I still want to do a phone reading with you. I would love to connect with you by phone, Sam. You're going to use a Selkie? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, did you hear that thunder? My dog might start crying. He does not like thunder. Okay, so here we go with our Florida storms. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought it was funny. I couldn't help it. The little men on the floor was like on the carpet. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, well, thank you. I want to see more about the Nixon. I thought that was just so inspiring. It makes me want to write something about the Nixon. Like there's a story there. That could be like a whole series or something. Got my creative you donated earlier, Kay. Oh, I'm so sorry. You want a reading later. Let me see your donation. Okay. What kind of reading did you want, Kay? I can do your reading here. We'll do your reading now. I don't want to make a habit of doing the readings here, but we could do your reading now. What was your question? We'll just do the reading. Well, I'll just open it up. If anybody who's here right now, who's been here the whole time, if you want a reading, we'll do the reading now for everybody who's here. Only the people who are here. And then, like, if you want to make a donation and do a reading now, we can do it now. But then I will be coming back later. Okay, so Kay, let me get you a spirit message. I'm going to go into a different deck. Okay. So I'm going to put the Hermit up. The 10 card spread. Oh, no problem. So for the 10 card spread, though, do you have a particular question? Or did you just want like a general with 10 cards? You'll be back later? Okay, Mystical. Awesome. Okay, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for Kay? Are you on the right path regarding career? Oh, awesome. That'll be fun. Oh, and that was your question? Well, that's basically what the spread was, too. It's all about financial stuff. Do you have any... Oh, okay. Didn't I mention before the life purpose spread for you? You may want to do that. Oh, my goodness. I think Amber Heard was just denied something. Did she just get denied her new trial? Let me see. I don't know. Oh, wow, yes. So while we were making fun of Amber Heard, she was losing in court. All of her post-trial motions were just denied. Wow. Okay, so let's see. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for Kay? And Kay, this is your free message. And that no other questions. I'm just doing Kay right now. Because Kay already made a donation. And then I'm going to end the stream. Thank you, Spirit. Well, New Love, you just joined in, right? I believe you just showed up. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. What message do you have for Kay today? What message do you have for Kay? What do you want Kay to know? Thank you, Spirit. What do you want Kay to know? And Kay, your message is right here. And it is the Ace of Cups. Now, the Ace of Cups could represent something about like some new form of career opportunity, but usually this is something that would show up for new love, anything that makes you feel happy, but it's all about new beginnings. So for your career path question, are you speaking something about college? Like, are you finishing training and getting ready to prepare for a new job or a new career? Because the Ace is all about new beginnings, but this is more along the lines of relationships, along the lines of things that you feel emotionally connected to. Approach life with a sincere and open heart. Allow yourself to feel love, joy, and happiness to the fullest. And that is your message, Ace of Cups. I'm going to keep that cup up here because that's like Spirit is offering you this beautiful golden cup. And I'm going to actually clear and charge this deck. Well, I leave that on here. And I'm going to use my tuning forks. And that's how I clear the energy. You're in nursing, but you want to branch out to your own business. Oh, now see, that Ace of Cups could be part of that as well. Because that is... And would the business be something, would it only be for financial purposes, or would it be like a venture of something that you're passionate about, something that makes you feel emotionally connected? Would it even be something related to nursing, like helping or caring for others? You want to branch out to your own business. So it would be better to do a question instead of saying, are you on the right path? Okay, so wait. If you really want to start your own business, we want your tarot question to be as close and accurate as possible. So do you want to know, is nursing the right career for you? Or do you want to know, should you start your own business? Because those are actually two different readings. So if you really want to know if you should start your own business, then the question should be, should you start your own business? But if you want to know if nursing is the best career for you, then that's what I should ask. And I am clearing these, both financial and emotional. You want to get out of nursing. So when you say, are you on the right career path? Do you already have the career in mind that you want to replace nursing with? It's just if we don't get this narrow, the tarot will come back with a lot of moon and even high priestess, kind of like saying you don't really know what you want, or I'm not really asking clearly enough, so it's a mystery and not an exact specific answer. The more specific the question, the more specific the answer. Of course, spirit has the answer, but because I'm like the channeler, like the medium in between, you want to do something creative. Okay. I still feel like I'm not sure exactly what the question is. If you can take some time and just think of making your question as specific as possible. Okay, there we go. That's perfect. That is perfect. Okay. I would rather do the Celtic Cross. Now, the Celtic Cross is $25, but I can just do that for free for you. So let me know if you want me to like upgrade it to the Celtic Cross, which would show, it would show the goal, the obstacle, what's around you, timing. It would show it much more in depth. Or did you want the specific 10 card read? Okay, awesome. Yes, let's do the Celtic Cross. Okay, thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Should Kay start her own business? And Kay, are you female? I don't want to, should Kay start? I'm saying her. I want to make sure. Should Kay start her own business? 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 Thank you, Spirit. Kay start her own business. Well, actually, I do feel Spirit's answer, so it's okay. Okay, good. The first two cards represent your question. We have Eight of Cups, okay? Eight of Cups shows up when you're tired of something, you're ready to move on, and you're looking forward to the next chapter. So perfect. Spirit is saying, yes, you're done with the nursing and you're ready to move on. And we also have 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles. So you're looking for something to move on. You're ready for the next chapter. We're also seeing here feelings of wealth, affluence, permanence. This is, if you were watching earlier, this was part of our situation reading today. So the 10 of Pentacles is saying not only are you looking for something that's going to bring in wealth, but it seems that you want something that's going to help with like in the household, familiar relationships. Now our goal card is the Star. Beautiful. Not only is the Star a major arcana card full of hope, but let me just ask randomly by chance, doesn't necessarily mean this, but are you an Aquarius? The Star is associated with Aquarius or air sign energy. But the Star also represents things that endure. So our goal here is that you don't want to just start a business. You want a business that's really going to last your whole lifetime. Okay. And what we want to see is any obstacles that could come in here to ruin this affluence you're seeking, the wealth you're seeking, the ability to be at home and build something solid and stable and true for your family, and something that endures. So, and there does seem to be, you are Aquarius? Okay, awesome. Let me just put that up for anybody who's watching. I'm not making it up. So usually Spirit will do that when there is an important message for you saying this is a life event. Spirit will use your zodiac sign to say, yes, this is what you should be doing. I can tell you right now, just from this, that this is a go for you. Okay. And I've just begun the cross, but because Spirit is choosing to use this card, this is definitely a go ahead. And just look at the imagery here, where we have these beautiful stars, like almost like stars of hope, but it's almost like a crown, a beautiful crown of stars above her head. And she's just so happy and content. Look at her face. So, I mean, this 100% represents you and your energy. Okay. So what's very important is we see that Spirit is behind you having your own business 100%. What we also want to see now is the nitty gritty details, and that's what's going to show up next. The main one here is the obstacle. The obstacle is a very important card because we need to know if whatever this obstacle is, you need it identified so you can overcome it, because all obstacles are meant to be overcome. So your obstacle is the Two of Swords. That's not bad. Your obstacle is you, for some reason, don't believe you can do this. Your obstacle is in your mind, and your obstacle is you're not looking at things clearly. So let me know right now. Lovely. Sorry, Bolt, it's okay. It's okay. It's just the thunder. We're not in war. Just Florida storms. We are the lightning capital of America. When you hear that thunder, you got to get inside. If you come to Florida to visit, you hear thunder, you better get inside, because that lightning is coming and will hit you. Okay, so are you in fear of starting your own business? Oh yeah, that's some serious thunder. That's Florida for you. And I mean, that lightning will come, it'll take down trees, it'll hit the ground, you'll see it. It's like nothing you've ever seen before in your life. um, but the Two of Swords. So, what's your obstacle and what's your advice from Spirit here is you need to assess this clearly and honestly. You don't want to be blindsided by anything. And you want to make sure that you're very truthful about your vision. So I mean, this is it's not bad. It's really that you want to have your business plan. You don't want to be afraid to make that move. Okay, so I feel here like Spirit is saying yes, you can do it, but like you're very scared to make that step. Now this again, that Ace of Cups was your spirit message. You know, I wish I didn't put that back, because your spirit message was all about taking that step and believing in yourself and making that act of faith. Might be curious to see if the Fool shows up in here as well, because that's that same type of energy. But at the same time, because she's got those blinders on, I can see that you're scared to make this step, but I believe that you can carefully prepare to make this step, so that, because sometimes our fears of what could happen aren't really all illogical. They're not all illusion. A lot of our fears are actually warnings of what could happen, right? So it's always like you have to look at a fear, assess it, address it, and then overcome it. But sometimes we have to do things while we're still afraid. So there's kind of like a balance in there. Like you have to know which is which. So you have to first examine the situation. You have to make a business plan. You definitely have to get down to the nuts and bolts of your business, okay? But then you have to make sure that you are not afraid to act, because there is that fear of acting in your reading. But let's continue to see if there's anything else to back up this Two of Swords, or if this is something like you're ready to go do it now. And that's going to show up in our timing. But the Spirit is clearly saying you can do this. You can do this. This is major arcana. This is star. You are Aquarius. It's longevity. You want to do this. You want it to be a success. You don't want to build a business, leave nursing, build a business, and have it fail. Okay, so what is around you is the Two of Wands. Very, very good. Were you in leadership in nursing? The Two of Wands is exploration, foresight, leadership, going on a new adventure. But there's also like a powerful component to this card, because as you can see, like this man, not right now, Miss Main. This is actually the card of the day reading. She had made a donation, and then I'm going to go and do the other stream. So, okay, so we have, he's standing up on this tower and looking down. And as you can see, he's looking over these lands. And if you can hear my storms in the background, I apologize. I think that thunder can drown out my background solfeggio frequencies. That's a everyday common occurrence here in Florida. But we see this beautiful water. He's surveying the land. So this represents your energy, Kay. That right now you're exploring ideas. You're visualizing what could be built down there, right? What are you going to do with all that land? Okay. What else is around you is the well. Now, for this card, I actually have to go and get my book, because for this deck, the Ethereal Tarot, there are 2 additional major arcana cards, and I should be learning it pretty well soon because I keep pulling them. But these are not cards included with the major the regular. Now this is, oh, I love it, and it goes very well. I know, Miss Main. Well, yes. So, Miss Main, what I'm going to do is on this channel, when it says hashtag card of the day, this is more about a channel for teaching. So, what I did was I do the goddess oracle, and then we did a teaching on who Epona, the horse goddess, was. Then we did like a almost like an hour long thing all about fairies, and then we did the mermaid message. Then I did the free 4 card tarot spread, which goes for everybody. But Kay had made a donation, so I was ending this stream. So I'm just going to do her reading, and then I'm going to take a break and then come back like maybe 6:30 or 7. The difference is on these streams that say hashtag card of the day. If you look in the video description, you'll see it because I write it out in the video description. Okay, so the well, and let me go back to this. Our Two of Wands is all about that exploration, that leadership, the creativity. What did you think of the fairies, Miss Maine? Did you like all that? Exploring new ideas, and this is working in conjunction with the well. So we're seeing that you are kind of like a creative storehouse right now. You have a lot of creative ideas brewing, I would say. I'm not sure what stage you are at in this, because it feels like this is very much the genesis or beginning of you starting your own business. It seems like you're still in the creative stage, but this is for the well. The well is associated with Gaia. The well is the birthplace of ideas, inspiration, and transformation. All things are birthed from this creatrix, and knowledge flows freely to those who seek it. And this represents nurturing opportunity, nature, and creativity. So again, I feel like you are still in a very creative stage. Do not doubt yourself. Spirit is saying you can do this. Just make sure that you do this by overcoming any obstacle that is present in the Two of Swords. Now we are going to look into some timing here, okay? And we're going to see your immediate action, which is where Spirit is going to say, like, quit your job now, you're nursing, and go straight into your own business. Or if there's a warning here, like you need to wait, and it could be like you need more learning. If we get some pages, it could be that. And your card is the Five of Wands. Oh, now this is interesting. Do you have somebody in your life who's telling you not to do this? We do have some conflict and we have some challenges. So I can tell you right off the bat, this is not something you're doing today or tomorrow. But there's either competition, conflict, or challenges. But you have some people around you for some reason. Maybe this is bills. Maybe this is debt. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe this is a partner who's saying, no, don't do it right now. The timing is not in favor of doing this right now. And if you have any insight of how this would resonate, please let me know. But again, like I said, Spirit definitely is giving you the go-ahead. Now, our long-term, the Tower, and the Tower is exactly what we would want to see. The Tower looks negative, right? Because we see this big tower and we see this body falling down, hurtling to the ground like, oh my God, he's falling out of the tower. But what the Tower means is you built a structure. And if nursing, I would say you went to college, you have a degree, you invested a lot of money in nursing, you built a foundation, you built a structure, you built a career, right? This is your tower. And now you're saying, I need to tear that tower down and I need to rebuild. So this Spirit is saying, yes, you can do this, but it's going to be a process. Oh, yeah. Well, that is definitely a go-ahead. So the Tower is saying, though, that you're rebuilding. You're absolutely rebuilding. So if you're thinking about if you're on the right path to go full-time, then this is a yes. Oh, it's definitely you're on the right path. And we have the Knight of Wands, which is your overall approach, which is taking action, being creative. So that is another go-ahead. And let's see, your overall outcome is the Seven of Wands. So we do see you, there is an element here, Kay, of being defensive, protecting something, being guarded. So I don't know if you resonate with what the not the Knight of Wands particularly, but the Five of Wands and the Seven of Wands. These cards show up as some sort of warning. So do you know or have any intuitive, this thunder is too much. Do you have any intuitive insights on your own as to what is the conflict either competition, conflict, or somebody or outside forces that might be working against you doing this full time right now. Or with the Seven of Wands, why your outcome has you kind of being very protective of something. Is this something where maybe you're trying to keep something a secret? I'm not sure. But it is definitely you're on the right path. Absolutely. Absolutely. So please let me know if that resonated with you. And to everybody who's just joining right now, I'm going to be ending the stream. I'm going to take a break, let this storm kind of die down, and then I'm going to come back because I've got tons of thunder and I don't particularly like being online like this through the storms. But I will be back. The storms here don't last that long. You think some family may not be liking what you're doing. It's a spiritual business. Okay. Yeah, and that energy may not leave you. Always may be feeling like you're a little bit on guard. But again, you do want to go into this a little bit slowly before it becomes like a full-time thing. But is it astrological based with that star? Are you doing anything with involving astrology? Just curious. If so, then I mean that would be an absolute yes. But you're always going to be a little bit protective of this. It's always going to be a little bit on guard. But our beautiful card for your message is the sun. I mean the star, I'm sorry. The star. It's very pretty. I want those stars to show. That's your answer right there. Are you on the right path? Absolutely. It is astrology. Wow. I got to put that up too. So that's the big yes, Kay. Absolutely. What a change from astrology to tarot. Well, what were you thinking when you saw that? When you saw the star? Did you feel like, wow, that's my answer? Thank you, Spirit. I mean, what else could it have been, right? The obstacle is the Two of Swords. So what is it that you're not seeing? What is it that are you afraid to go into it, or I don't know. Just make sure, because I was looking for to replace nursing completely, because that's what you had mentioned. So there is something there. And the Tower isn't in this spread about making some disastrous decision. It's about the rebuilding of your career. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, that's beautiful. I just want to put that up. That's so pretty. That could be it too. But you're always going to be a little defensive about it. And that's just common for spiritual things, because some people think spiritual work, especially like zodiac or astrology or tarot, they think it's evil or demonic or witchcraft. It's like, you wouldn't believe some of the sock accounts that come in here. And they try and act like I'm the evil one while they come in here saying the most evil things. It's just crazy. But I want to thank you, everybody. I'm going to take a break, get something to eat, let the storm die down, and then I will be back for messages from the day, donation-based tarot. And again, Miss Maine, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to set it up so if you see hashtag card of the day at the beginning of the title, then you'll know that it's not the donation stream. And I do have it set so Nightbot doesn't come into the stream and say anything. I noticed Nightbot hasn't said anything at all. I think I've permanently removed Nightbot. I gotta figure out how to add Nightbot back. Okay, so anyways, thank you everybody. Oh, God bless you, Kay, and I'm so excited for you. So excited. So awesome. And I hope I'll see some of you later tonight. God bless you. Read the tarot.